So Module 6 is on solving equations. We're going to go through 3 worked examples for this module. In question 1, we're going to solve a cubic equation. We're given the equation here, x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x minus 15 equals 0. And the question actually tells us how to solve this equation, gives us the method. And this is the standard method for solving these things. So what we're going to do is use trial and error to guess an integer value solution to the equation. And then once we have that solution, that gives us a factor of this cubic. And we're going to use long division to work out the remaining factor. And that will be a quadratic. And then we have standard methods for solving quadratic equations. So eventually we'll get 3 solutions to this equation. Okay, so we're after solutions that are low integer values, so 0 or plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. Anything like plus or minus 3 or beyond, it's a pretty mean question. So you hope that the question's fairly nice to you and you can find an integer value solution, something like 0, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. I'm going to start by trying x equals 1 as a solution, as a potential solution. So what does this mean? Remember, a solution is a number you put in for x to see if the equation holds. So we're going to substitute x equals 1 into the left-hand side and see if we get 0. If we don't, it's not a solution. Okay, so let's substitute x equals 1 into the left-hand side of this cubic. So we get 1 cubed plus 3 lots of 1 squared minus 13 lots of 1 minus 15. Right, we need to work this out. So we get 1 plus 3 lots of 1 squared is 1, minus 13 times 1, 13, minus 15. And so what do we get? 4 minus 28, so we get minus 24. Clearly not 0. And so x equals 1 is not a solution to this cubic equation. Now, you could do that in your head and not write this down, which is fine. But yeah, I'm just writing it down to go through the process. So let's try a new number. Let's try x equals minus 1. So we're doing exactly the same thing, but this time substituting in minus 1 to the left-hand side. So we have minus 1 cubed plus 3 lots of minus 1 squared minus 13 lots of minus 1 minus 15. So whenever we're dealing with negative numbers, we've got to be a bit careful. So minus 1 cubed is minus 1. Plus 3 lots of minus 1 squared is 3 lots of 1, so that's plus 3. Minus 13 lots of minus 1, the 2 minuses there make a plus, so you get plus 13. And then minus 15. And so we get minus 1 plus 3 is 2, plus 13 is 15, minus 15 is 0, right, which is the magic number we're looking for. So this means that minus 1 is a solution to this cubic equation. So x equals minus 1 is a solution. And this means that x minus the solution, minus 1, or of course we usually just write this as x plus 1, is a factor of the cubic. Okay, so now what we want to do, and it says this in the question, is we want to factor the cubic into x plus 1 times the rest, and we've got to figure out what the rest is. And once we have the rest, that'll be a quadratic equation, and we can find the other 2 solutions. And the way we're going to find out the rest is using long division. All right, so in this page, I'll perform the long division. It takes a bit of working. So I need the cubic, so I've got x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x minus 15. And I know that x plus 1 is a factor of this, so I'm dividing this cubic by the term x plus 1 and seeing what's left over. Okay, so I'm assuming to do this question that we're all up on how to divide one polynomial by another. But let's go through the process. So we look at how many times x goes into the term x cubed. So that goes in x squared number of times. and then we times the x squared by every term in the x plus 1. So then we get x squared times x is x cubed, plus x squared times 1 is just x squared. And then we do our subtraction. The x cubed terms goes, and then we just get 3x squared minus 1 lot of x squared is 2x squared. And now we look at how many times does x go into 2x squared. And it goes plus 2x lots of times. We bring down the minus 13x. We times the 2x by x plus 1. So we get 2x squared plus 2x times 1 is just plus 2x. We subtract. It's the usual process that repeats. And so the 2x squareds cancel. And now we have minus 13x minus 2x. And we get minus 15x. And now we have to do this once more. How many times does x go into minus 15x? It goes minus 15 times. We bring down the minus 15. We times the minus 15 by x plus 1 to get minus 15x. Minus 15 times plus 1 is minus 15. And it's a good check of whether we're doing this correctly. We need to get 0 by the end, because we figured out before that x plus 1 is a factor. Right? So this process must produce 0 by the end. And when we subtract these two terms, well, they're exactly the same. We just get 0. Okay, so this means that the cubic x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x minus 15 is x plus 1 times x squared plus 2x minus 15. Okay, now as I've said a couple of times, the leftover bit is a quadratic, right, an x squared term. And we've had plenty of practice solving quadratics, so we're going to factor that quadratic. And then once this cubic is completely factored, it's very straightforward to write down all the solutions. We know x equals minus 1 is a solution. We want all three solutions. Okay, so let's just continue this calculation, because by now we're very good at factorizing quadratics. So we've got the x plus 1 term here. And now we want two numbers whose product is minus 15 and whose sum is plus 2. And if we think about that for a while, we want to take plus 5 and minus 3. Right? 5 plus minus 3 is 2. The product 5 times minus 3 is minus 15. So this means that x squared plus 2x minus 15 is x plus 5 times x minus 3. And now we've completely factorized our cubic. And remember, we're solving this cubic to be equal to 0. And so now it's straightforward to write down all the solutions, because now we're thinking about when is this term equal to 0? Well, it's when each of the three terms there is equal to 0. X equals minus 1 we knew about. The other two solutions are now x equals minus 5 and x equals 3. So the solutions are x equals minus 1, which we had from the beginning, and now minus 5 and 3. And there are the three solutions of the cubic equation.